What's going on, guys? It's Tuesday night, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. That means it's time for ProperRoyals Live. I was adjusting something on my camera earlier, and I see it's crooked. Hang on. That's going to drive me crazy. Let's get it just right. There we go. It's the reality of live TV. And now I got this microphone in my way. I got to reach over it, because I'm in the microphone gang now, or microphone on camera. Everybody's the Instagram poll said that's what I had to do. So here we are. Thanks for being here tonight. Kai is going to come hang out from Lucas Landon Royals. He's rebooting his software, but I got a whole bunch of rambling announcements to make anyway. So Kai will be here in just a little bit. He's been on the show before. He's a really good friend of the show. Tonight we're going to talk about current breeding season, and then we'll talk about business evolution too. He and I have been kind of keeping up for really a couple of years now, so it'll be neat to kind of talk about how we saw things sort of in the pandemic and how we see things now, as well as kind of our own goals and how much we've been able to follow those, or what we still have on track or not on track. Anyhow, Kai's going to hang out. And then I got some questions from a technology standpoint of how he sees the future. So I'm kind of intrigued to speak to Kai tonight. He'll be on in just a few minutes. He's working out some technical kinks. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Maybe I see some new faces. Rob and Lily Hernandez. I'm not sure if I've seen y'all before. Thanks for being here tonight. Dale, what's up, man? I thought you'd be on a cruise ship by now. I'm really happy to see it. Thanks for coming by. Lots of people. Casey, what's going on? Patreon member. Casey, I think we got a Patreon date tomorrow night. I think we're due for our one-on-one. I'll get in touch with you probably later on tonight or in the morning, but I'm on for tomorrow night. Locked and loaded. Frank, good to see you. Jeremy and Holly, I hope that y'all are well. Snakes for the memories. Jeremy Warfel, what's up, man? We're like 6 weeks away from your shindig in Pennsylvania. I will be there. Phil, what's going on, man? I hope that it says, oh wait, might be the wrong channel. I don't know what we're talking about. You're on the right if you're here, you're on the right channel, man. That's all that there is to it. I know I missed a whole bunch of people. Oh, you leave for the cruise on Sunday. Okay. I was like, I thought you were out of town for the Jacksonville show, but you are. You leave on Sunday. The show starts on Saturday. I got you. Yeah, Casey, we'll catch up tomorrow. Sorry if I missed anybody. I hope everybody's doing well. You guys know I'm not great at the shout outs. I always say it's a busy week. It's been a really busy week. I don't know if you can see my forehead. I was down in Miami over the weekend, equal parts family time and equal part business. And I found out on that trip, which is no short trip from Jacksonville to Miami, and actually I was in Key Largo, well over 300 miles, 350 miles, man. It's a long trip. And the deal fell apart. You put your best foot forward, you try and figure things out. But nonetheless, it was a very, very good trip and a good time. It hurts to say at the moment because it's kind of a fresh wound, but there's always another deal. There's always another snake. We got to remind ourselves of that. So keep putting in the work, keep doing the good stuff. The next deal will come around. So, but yeah, I was down in Miami over the week, got some more ovulations, and it'll probably be my Instagram post tomorrow. I just saw my lavender 66% het pied female ovulated, and I paired her to a lavender het pied male. That lavender male is actually from George MD, right down near Daytona. So anyhow, hopefully she proves for pied. If not, I'll have some good hets and visual lavender het pieds to deal with. So that was cool. It's kind of a nice thing to see. Let's see some things I haven't talked about lately. I just mentioned on Patreon. Go check out the Patreon. If you like what I do and you want to spend a little bit more time with me, there's some great opportunity on Patreon. Also, it's hatchling season, and the middle tier of Patreon, it's $35 a month, which is nothing to sneeze at. On the other hand, all of that converts to store credit, and you get to jump first in line as Patreon member because let's just call it what it is. You're paying for the opportunity, right? So if there's anything that you hear me talking about, you want to start building some store credit and get to the front of the line, go ahead and sign up on the Patreon. Check out the other tiers too. There's some cool stuff that comes with it. No fee, no anything. You can email me at properroyals@gmail.com and I'll email you a monthly list of what's available, and animals hit that email. It goes Patreon, email list, then Morph Market. So for free, you could just email me at properroyals@gmail.com and I'll slap you on the email list. What month are we? We're in May. The May list is going to go out before the show this weekend. I'd rather sell snakes to supporters of the social media, of the channel, supporters of my sponsors, bringing value to them. So I'm going to send out the list before the show this weekend. I'll be at the Jacksonville Repticon here in Northeast Florida this Saturday and Sunday. That's May the 20th and 21st. Yeah, 20th and 21st. Next week, I'm going to go solo. I'm not sure. I got to talk to, I mean, you know what? I'm going to bring this up with Kai tonight. I got to talk this through with Kai as far as strategy and maybe what you guys think as well. I haven't watched the episode, but I really love Jana and Jessica over there at the Hold Back Rack podcast. And I know they did a live auction on animals, and I've actually got a fair number of 2022s and some breeder males now that are available. And I was thinking maybe not a live auction, although if you want to shout out a price, go right for it. But I probably would list what my price was. Maybe next week's episode will just be a live showcase of animals that I have. But I think I would need like a co-host or a moderator. That's a lot to do. It's a lot to keep up with, just like running the show, looking at comments and all of that. So I don't know, handling the animals and trying to run it. I don't know. If somebody wants to co-host with me, you can get a hold of me, shoot me an email, message, all of that kind of stuff. Let me say hey to Justin. Yeah. Welcome. Thanks. New to the channel. It was the thumbnail, right? I mean, Justin, how'd you find out about me? Cause Kai and I collaborated on a very odd thumbnail this week. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoy the show. Yeah. Phil says 6 weeks we can jam. Yeah, we gotta get in touch, and I gotta check with Jeremy. Like, I don't know if he just wants like to hang out and jam, or if he wants like a show or what's up. So anyhow, I'll have all my gear. Let's put on a show. Justin, shoot me an email at properroyals@gmail.com and I'll send you a list of what I got available for breeder males. All right, man. Next week I'll be solo. So I don't know if somebody wants to be the moderator or like the co-host on the live snake showcase. Maybe we can work that out, how to do that. Maybe one of the sponsors should come do it. Like I hawk their goods a lot and they compensate me. So maybe this isn't a good pitch, but maybe they could come help me sell mine. Maybe we'll see. Who knows? Maybe Chris will pop up. Maybe Chris wants to be on the show. Then the following week will be Gray Family Snakes, hot off of their trip to West Africa. And if you haven't heard, they're on a mission to raise some money. And I use mission. I don't know if it's like a personal mission or a religious mission, both. I don't mean it in any specific way. But to raise money specifically actually in the areas where ball pythons come from, there are eye surgeries that can be performed for next to nothing. And there's a percentage of the population that's really suffering from blindness that could actually be very easily fixed. It's not a permanent situation. And they're raising money to perform these surgeries, essentially. I mean, they're not the ones performing it, but we're going to learn more about that mission that they're on, and talk about their own breeding collection and ball python endeavors. Good people. Like, how do how many of us could say we're taking a trip to Africa on a humanitarian aid mission, so that's pretty cool. I want to hang out with people like that. So we'll see them. I got new guests coming up in June. I'm going to find out. I'll announce those next week. I'll be doing some work on booking. So thank you all for hanging out tonight. Like I say, Kai will be here. Kai's been on the show a number of times, and in it's easier to talk about somebody when they're not sitting there looking at you on the screen, even though Kai is, and I see that he can hear me, but I'm going to pretend that he can't. Kai was one of the like this first to me like a big breeder that and there's bigger breeders, yeah, and there's a whole bunch of smaller breeders. He was one of the big like first like big breeders that ever gave me the time of day when I started trying to do the show and even my YouTube channel. And that always meant a lot to me, and I've always been appreciative of that. Second, we kind of hit it off on the shows. He's very analytical, very insightful, and he's got a heck of a lot of experience breeding some good high quality ball pythons. So I'm glad to have him back. I think this is the fourth time where he's the singular guest, and I think he's been on a couple of like my like either panels or holiday party. I do some holiday parties where like we kind of take away the PG, have some beverages and hang out, but not tonight. That'll be, you got to wait for December for that. Anyway, I think for the fourth plus time, please help me welcome Kai back to the ProperRoyals stage. Kai, welcome back, man.
Hello. Hey. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, Adam. I hope you can hear me okay. I know we were having a lot of problems earlier.
Yeah, you were, but that actually, you nailed it. Actually sounds much better right now.
Okay. Well, I had my earpods in because I thought this time I would do this in the snake room so I can show off some snakes, but I'm tethered in now, so it's not like I can walk that far from the
so
phone.
You're not wired.
I'm tethered in. So, I mean, we can try to unplug it and see if there's like feedback echoes, but we'll see how far we can get. I do have some animals here that's arm reach away from me on this side, so I can maybe pull some of those out. But if I have to go that way to get the hatchlings, then I have to take off these headphones.
Well, I didn't have any specific animal showcases on my agenda, so we'll see where the show takes us. I always say this is like people hanging out rather than an interview. I certainly don't claim to be a journalist, so we'll just see where it all goes. So by your count, how many times is this on the show by your count that you've been on?
I think you're right. I think it is 4.
I think so. I was looking and I didn't get a chance to watch all of them. I tried to brush up on some of our prior content, which actually is really kind of crazy from a personal standpoint, because just the look of the show has changed for the good. Like, to my point about getting out there and just doing the work because we're going to learn and improve. Like, it's better. And I'm biased, I get it, but it's better. I'm just how much better we could all debate, but it's better. So,
remember that first time? I think it was the second time we did it, and the way my screen and your screen was oriented, it looked like we're like had our back to back. It looked like we didn't like each other. It looked like when you have 2 dogs sit together and you're trying to pet both of them, but they don't like each other. Yeah, and they're having their back. Yeah. It was like it was like this.
Yeah, I'm
going to talk
before. Like this right here. Yeah. I figured that out. I don't know if it was from your show, but I figured it out where like the way my camera's oriented, I have to, I look much more engaged, even though I'm perfectly engaged right here too.
Yeah.
See, I do learn these things. So yeah, we're going to do everybody, everybody's talking about it, man. This thumbnail, you really went out on the limb here. What was the inspiration there, Kai?
You were the inspiration.
I was. Okay, good. Yeah. Well,
hey, Charlie.
In that, yeah. Sorry, Charlie. It was me, not you, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. Let me see.
I mean, I wanted to take a picture, but I didn't know where would be a good spot because like on my channel, you see this back here all the time, and I don't really have like a nice clean wall where like it's all white. So because I figure if I take a picture, you might want to crop some of the background out and try to make it white or all green or all blue, so it's easier for you to do it. And I was going to go to the bathroom and just throw a drape over the shower curtains, but then I was like, hey, this is perfect. So I just jumped in and we were talking about shirts earlier, so I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. Yeah.
No, it was good. And then I was like, you know what, man, I'm going to put this on the thumbnail. And you're like, yeah, go for it. I was like, okay, well, we're in it now. So I got to say, and I'm certainly not sponsored by Canva, but shout out to Canva. It's photo editing, video editing, presentation editing. I really like Canva a lot, and I use it for like my background. I made my banner on Canva. I use Canva for the thumbnails, but it's got a background remover that you can adjust sort of the severity of the background that it looks for. And so like I got it to figure out that I wanted the front curtain and then but the rest of it to go away. So it actually worked pretty well. And I always like behind the scenes, I try and be hands off because I hate, like, I want people to be natural when they come on the show. So I don't want to give you like 14 instructions on taking a picture. But generally, like, the taller or more the person's body I have, the better it fits. Like when they just give me their head, like the head is so massive on the thing, you know, it's like,
right.
And then I have to put it in one of those cheesy like 80s picture frames that has like the fog or the mist around the edge or whatever. Anyway, it worked. It was good. And, you know, we got a few people chatting about it. So why not? Yeah.
Nice.
I don't think I've seen Not Gonna Trip Again in the audience before, but they say they and their brother got an awesome clown and a pied lavender.
Oh, yeah, they're local.
Cool, yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I remember you guys.
Yeah. Oh, they say thanks again. That's cool. Yeah, you should. Yeah, clown and pied and dreamsicles. That's a good sale, man. Very cool. All right. Well, now that we've covered the thumbnail, what's been going on? Because it's been it has been 15, as many times you've been on the show. It's been 15 months since you were on the show, though, man.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the collection got bigger. I probably need to downsize. So it's funny because I remember when we talked before, I wanted to retire by now. I wanted I wanted this to be my full job, but
I have that's on the docket, man. Yeah, we're gonna discuss that.
Yeah, things change. Right. I mean, stuff happens, and I kind of like having a job while I'm doing this, because it's like, you know, this is the time where I can use the money that I make from my job to buy things that I really want. Whereas if I had quit my job and this be the only, you know, money that I make, then it kind of limits me as to what I want to get, because I would have to constantly think about like, okay, I need to set money aside for this and that. So right now, like, the job still pays for everything, like my bills and all that stuff, and the snake is just play money. So the snake money doesn't have to be used for paying bills and credit cards and things like that, you know?
Yeah, it's hard to know when to flip the switch from like kind of constantly reinvesting to being able to step back a little bit. And you're right. I would say not no matter how much, but within reason, almost no matter how much you're making on snakes, you almost need to make more than you're making in your career to consider walking away, because as we grow to the resources that we have, you know, like, okay, we have money, so we start living a certain lifestyle.
Right.
And so even if you can replace your job with the snake money, it's not like the snake money happened overnight and you aren't used to having that, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the collection just keeps growing and growing. When I started in this little tiny corner of the basement. I think it was 4x7, if I recall correctly. But I knew I had a lot more of the basement to use. There's still space in the basement, so I could keep expanding. And, you know, I build racks. I can keep building my racks.
Right.
But I'm at the point where I don't want to expand into the living space.
Yeah.
So I can't make this bigger.
Right.
And I filled up all my racks and tubs. So now I'm getting to, well, now I have to do what like Ozzy's always saying, is like, you just keep replacing your females with the better ones. You know, you're replacing your males with the better ones that you're producing or either purchasing. So now I kind of have to rotate them. Whereas before, I can just keep my breeder females and just build another rack and then build another rack and build another rack. Right. Same thing with the hatchlings. Just keep making more and more racks. But I think I've definitely maxed out the space. I haven't created that equilibrium between the females, the clutches, and the hatchlings. So last season, which kind of hit me by surprise, I ended up producing 40 some clutches, and I was able. That's a lot. So
that's a lot.
When I started, I produced 2 clutches, right? And then the following year, I think I produced 8 clutches, and then 12 clutches, and then 22 clutches, and 28 clutches, and then from 28 it jumped to 44 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting. It's a ton of work, and I was lucky enough to have the space to build those hatchling racks. But this season, I did a count earlier, and I have over 100 breeder size females.
Wow.
Most of them are proven, but there's a lot of virgins as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that if I breed all of them, I won't have enough space for the hatchlings. Like there's not enough tubs for the hatchlings.
Right.
And I also, so don't make this mistake. Don't plan on breeding too many holdbacks in one season. So in 2022, I had my sunset male, and I put him to like almost every single female that I had, right? And I have all of these holdbacks. They're all double hets. Some are triple hets. They all look pretty much normal. A few of them have like one codom, and it's super boring looking at them because they all look normal.
Yeah.
And every time I take one out, I'm like, I better remember where to put this back.
Yeah.
Because if I don't,
you're done. Yeah.
I'm screwed. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So don't make too many in one season, but like I did, and now I have a lot of my hatchling tubs still have hatchlings because they're holdbacks. They're not for sale. And I have, I think I did a count, maybe like 60 to 70 empty tubs right now. So what does that mean? That means I can have maybe 6 clutches, right? 10 clutches. 10
clutches, yeah.
10 clutches. And I have 100 females, so I have to be very selective.
So, okay, so how many are you breeding and aiming for this year? If the number was 40 last year.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to breed 40. Last season I bred 20 females and ended up with 44 or 46. I'm just going to say 45 to make it easy. So this time
you said you bred 20 females and ended up with
60.
40?
Sorry,
okay,
60,
all right.
60 females, and I ended up with like, let's just say 45 clutches.
Yeah.
So this time I'm aiming to breed 40 females and hoping that I end up around 20 plus clutches. And I hope that I can, sell the ones quick enough so I make room for the next clutch.
Sounds like we got to talk about a volume package here.
Let's do it.
I mean, I don't know. I'm on the did you ever play poker?
A little bit.
When you miss or you get a bad beat, they say you're on tilt. Like that's how I feel. Like I had 2 big deals going, both of them up in the air, gone. I'm like, I need to invest in something.
Oh no. I heard you work with other people to invest. What was that about? Care to elaborate? Like when you have your videos, sometimes you say, "Oh, I have an investor. We're going to purchase this animal or do this project." Like, what are those?
Nah, that one didn't go through. That was a restaurateur that I used to work with.
Oh, okay.
And he's a good businessman. He's like a brother to me. He has no desire to have snakes. Matter of fact, he's never told me, but matter of fact, I think he's terrified of snakes. But he is he's a better entrepreneurial mind than I am. But I had pitched to him because he was like, "Man, this is amazing. How can I help you, Adam? Support you?" And I was like, let's buy an crazy expensive snake. Let's split it. And, let's go 3, 4, 5 grand a piece. And then, we can both explain to our wives that you trust Adam and I trust Jay, and this is going to be good. And, it's a good idea because we're both involved in it. And I was ready to go. I was close, and he didn't do it. So anyhow, that was the plan. But no, I've done some breeding partnerships, collaborations, whatever it might be. But no investors. There was, I got to be careful because I don't want to name any names or there was somebody that had approached me about investing in ProperRoyals Live as like its own entity, like the show as its own entity. And that's one of the things that fell apart this week. That would have been really, really, really neat, actually. But I just have to leave it there. I had to remember the phone call was validating because it was a incredibly legitimate person. Like every person in the room would know who it was. So, I'll leave it there. It's not going to work.
Okay.
That's the end of that. So, and then the other one was a real estate deal. That the Miami deal, it didn't go through. I was looking at a rental property in Miami, and things don't happen sometimes. So that's it.
Okay. So right now it's still just you with the ball pythons.
It's just me, my wife, and son. But yeah, 93% me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how it is here.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So. No, it's yeah, for all intents and purposes, it's completely me. Just credit where it's due. Jeremy Bod helped me out with a loaner male this year. Shannon Peck at Green Dragon Brokers helped me out with a breeder male, and Brandon Nixon actually helped me out with a breeder male deal as well. So we've got a few things going on at different levels, but those are three people that I've worked with on some breeding stuff.
Okay, cool. I can't see the chat, so
whoever's
there, hi everybody.
Yeah, most everybody is saying that it's a misleading thumbnail. It's an amazing thumbnail, misleading. You know, they came for skin, but you know, we got to keep them. That's how you keep them engaged. You got to make them wait till the end. You know, that's right. That's how you get the count up.
It's not misleading, guys. Just wait until I stand up.
Well, actually,
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy and Holly said, well, you know, he hasn't stood up yet. So maybe you can, yeah, we'll see.
It's Winnie the Pooh all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Justin says it's being an entrepreneur. You hit and you miss. And the other thing is too, like, sometimes the best deals are the ones that you don't make. If they weren't a good thing in the first place, or you're going to overextend yourself or put yourself in a bad situation, you got to let them go. Like I guess I could have gone back to either of these and gone, all right, I'll do it for double. Well, it wasn't that's not a good deal then anymore. So it's got to go, kind of thing. So, but let's go back to, this isn't meant to be my therapy session on my specific headaches. So what will be like your process, of downgrading? What'll be your process of, I know you too well to know that you don't just like not have a plan. What's going to be the plan of action? Say you do hit 35 clutches this year.
What's the plan if I do hit like more than I intended for?
Yeah.
Sell them faster, work harder to promote and sell them faster. I mean, that's all I can do. There are like a few mom and pop pet shops around me.
Yeah.
I can't say what they are, and I can't tell you how much I wholesale to.
But, right.
But you know, they're always willing to take them in.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give them like an Exantic Pied for like $100. You know, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll give them a normal. I'll give them a normal or a pastel, and they can like put a, you know, I don't know, whatever price tag on it for them and then sell it. But yeah.
If you're moving those at 100, I'll up the
right. I just pulled that number out of the air.
I know. It's funny how like, I would say how hard it is to find a reliable wholesaler, and then like almost every person I know has one. And to a person, actually shout out to Marty's Morphs. He's one of the local. He doesn't have a social media channel, but he's like one of the show like grinders, you know. And sure enough, I was yakking with him, and he was like, "Yeah, you know about so and so over there outside of Jacksonville?" I was like, maybe. He's like, "Yeah, that's who I wholesale to." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's who I wholesale to." It was like one of the very few times that anybody's even admitted anything about like where they can unload snakes. So say in a normal time, now you've come to the conclusion that you're going to need to move downsize, so move out some snakes. It seems like the first year that you would do that, all your improved and upgraded ones are probably the youngest ones, because in theory we're producing better stuff every year is what we should be doing. So are you going to have a year where like your production drops way off because you needed to downsize and unload some things?
It might drop. It might come to the point where, I don't know if it's going to like drop, but it might. So I do have you know, grow outs, you know, in the grow out tubs, and I don't know if they're gonna get up to size enough to, be at the right size
Right.
to
There's that
breed for
2 or
that
3.
season.
Yeah.
As I'm getting rid of, their moms or whoever
Mhm.
was here. But then again, I don't even know if I can get rid of them fast enough. Like there's some animals that I put on my morph market, they're breeders, but nobody inquired, so I ended up putting a male to them, and a couple of them became gravid. So it's like,
You
well,
just couldn't help it, right? You're just
it's
like,
not.
I know this is a problem, but here we go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're recessives, and so it, it's hard to let go of the breeder females, especially since I'm at the point where some of these I've hatched myself, and some of them I purchased as babies, and then there's also relationships that you build with other breeders, and
Yeah.
so those animals I feel a little bit more connected to, just because I like I know that breeder pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey man, I just sold the female that you gave me for a good deal. It's a weird conversation to have.
Yeah. But it's business though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. But you're right though. Somebody, especially if somebody goes out of their way to make you the deal. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true. By the way, I sold that. No, I'm joking. I did not.
I flipped it. Thanks.
I flipped it. It's gone, man. I made a quick $42 on that, man. No, I'm joking. Let me say hey to Charlie from Gray Rider Reptiles. I literally have been thinking about you this week. Charlie, I got to reach out to you and talk some business. I got a shed I need to give you a shot on and see what you're all about over there.
Hey,
Yeah,
Charlie's awesome.
Gray Rider.
Yes.
Yeah, I had never met him. I need to connect, and I'm certainly thankful that you came by the show. I know that he's doing good stuff on the testing. Have you used his testing before?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I will. Yeah, Charlie, I will shoot you a message. I'll be in touch here.
Yeah. You should have you tried it yet, or you still have one?
Not from Gray Rider.
Not
The Morph Market company I have, which I should know. Like, if I have a podcast, I should be more up on the Morph Market company. What's the name of it?
RGI.
RGI. There we go. Okay. Yeah.
But Charlie's so much faster, and he's more communicative, and he's great.
That's what I'm talking about. Then I'm going to give him some business, and I've got another one too, actually. But anyway, so what'll be your process? I mean, I know in general you're going to have to figure out like what you want to focus on, what's getting too extraneous, but do you have any like defining morphs or recessives or specific projects that you're going to give more favor to than the others right now?
Well, I learned from my mistake of breeding that sunset male to all the females.
Why was that a mistake? Because you have all the double hets?
Yeah. I should have just spread it out. You know what I mean? Like I should have breeded to, a few females and held back the females from those clutches. And then the following year, breeded to a few other females, and then, select a couple males to hold back and maybe a few females. Like I should have done it that, spread it out a little bit,
Yeah.
So I learned from that mistake. And originally I had planned to use my pastel DG Pi to do the same thing, but I'm not doing that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I learned. I don't have like a real defined process. I'm just selecting some genes, some codoms that I want to work into recessives, and then the other stuff that maybe are a little bit more common, I'm just gonna skip or hold off unless I really want to, add more hatchlings to my collection here.
Do you have any breeder females that are what I would call basic hets, like single dominant het that you're still working with, or have you graduated past that point? Like, are there any like easy like slam dunks that you're like, that one's out of here, that one's out of here? These are kind of like, here's the first round of them that are gone.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, if I was to do that, I think majority of the visual pied females would be going.
Your visuals too.
The visuals. No, I don't have any like just single hets anymore. I mean, they're all like a couple codoms and then hets, or they're just one codom and a visual.
Yeah.
But the pieds, like, because I started my collection with mostly pieds, and they were all just single gene pies. Like
Right.
I think I had like 5 of them, and I sold a couple of them like last year. I think I have 3 left that are just single gene pies. I have 2 that are pie that are het for albino. I do have a pastel pied het for lavender, which I tend to keep. So it depends on how far along I am with the project. Like with pies, I feel like I'm pretty far along. At this point, I have like firefly pies waiting. I have enchi pies, hypo pies. I have a ton of other pies that are more powerful. They're just younger. They just need to grow up. So they should be able to replace those single recessive pies later on. There's an albino pied right up there. You probably can't see. It's in the tub anyway. I don't know why I put it up there.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So I think pies would probably be those recessive single gene pies would probably be the first females to go. Whereas like my desert ghost and clowns, I'm just not that far along yet. So I might keep the single gene clowns. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. Because I'm nowhere near to the point you're talking about, but from a space standpoint, I will hit my capacity sooner than later at the pace that I'm going. And especially this year, I've said that the over under is about 13 clutches. So maybe 12, maybe 14. And I've got a few that seem to be like just starting to develop right now. So that might lead right into the next breeding season. Cause I've already had, I think that lavender 66% het pied female today. I think she's number 7 on the ovulation. So, I mean, I'm going along. But yeah, figuring that out, but I've got some really like some easy one. Like I've just got some normal het pieds. Like I bought them in a collection that I hadn't proved out. So I didn't want to sell them as het pieds cause I didn't make them. So I wanted to breed them and I had space and, you know, pieds are cool. So those will be out this year when they're done. And then I don't think I'm going to consolidate any projects yet, though. I'm still pretty excited about everything that I'm working with. We'll see how things progress. But yeah, I've got a few that probably need to go as well.
I think eventually, you know, projects will just merge together because you get to a point where it's like, okay, you know, I have something recessive that's het for this other recessive.
Right.
You just end up making those double hets. That's kind of what I did with the hypopides. Like I had no intention. I didn't even like hypo. Like everyone else, like I slept on it. I didn't care too much about hypo. And I purchased a coral glow pie that's, I think, 66% het for hypo. And then I purchased a couple enchi pies that were pos het for hypo. And like I said, I didn't have that many pies at the time. So it just happened that I put those two together.
Yeah.
And I got a clutch of, I think, 3 or 4 hypo pies. And that's kind of how I came up with that trick to figure out if the coral glow pied is a hypo or not.
It's so good. You taught it to me. You tell the story, man.
Okay, so the male that I got, like I said, he's coral glow pied pos het for hypo. The female was a enchi pied pos het for hypo. I put them together, and I ended up making hypo pieds. So I knew that they were both het for hypo. However, with the coral glow being so light in color, it was really difficult to determine if that was hypo or not. Now I know that hypos, when they shed, the sheds come out clear, right? And a coral glow pied has pretty much no color except for those little specks that they develop over time.
Yeah.
And I know when the dad sheds, those specks came off in his shed. So my theory is if this hatchling, this coral glow pied pos het for hypo or visual hypo, if he truly is hypo, then those specks should not be present in his sheds. And if I see those black specks, then I know he's not a visual hypo. He's just 66% pos het. So what I did was I waited until this little guy grew some specks, and then I waited some more until he went through that blue phase, and I knew he was about to shed. And I took a Sharpie and I took a blue or red Sharpie and I just marked next to a few of those black specks.
Yeah.
I know you circled it because I saw you did it in your video.
I drew a circle right around mine.
But I just put like I think I used a blue Sharpie, and I just put a dot, a dash next to a few of those black specks. So after he shed, I went and looked for those blue Sharpie marks and to see if there's any black specks around it, and there weren't. So I know I have a hypopide, a coral glow hypopide.
Right. It worked. I mean, you told me about it, and I was like, I don't know, that sounds a little bit silly. And I even asked, I was like, can we write on our snakes? And you're like, I don't know. They throw the skin away. I was like, I'm not telling anybody, but I'm going to do it. And I did it. And sure enough, inside the circle was crystal clear. And I think I even sent you a picture of the shed.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's hypo. And I have a hard time identifying hypo in general, much less on a coral glow. I mean, some genes are really simple to identify it on, but you know, I think mine's a banana, but on my banana girl, it's a real pain. And I didn't know she was sold to me as banana het hypo. So the previous owner didn't even know that it was a visual either, but I was getting some weird babies. And to this day, I think the clown that I paired her with, I think that clown is het hypo as well. Cause I think some of the babies were hypo bananas that I was having a tough time IDing. So I did that, and I came to the conclusion that makes sense. Then I think that she's hypo, and she proved this past year, and actually she's about to lay again before next week's show. She should lay again. Actually, I'm looking at my calendar up there. What was funny is Jesse Music at Musical Pythons. He came up one time to ultrasound and helped me out before I had my own ultrasound. And I'm showing him the snakes, and I opened the tub, and before I even said anything, he goes, "Oh man, I didn't know you worked with hypo." And I was like, "You just see it?" He's like, "Yeah, that's a banana hypo, man." I was like, "Okay, that'd have been nice to know, you know, forever."
Sometimes it's easier to tell, especially like if you have some now, right? If you know what to look for, and you have two siblings or two hatchlings that are of similar age that you can compare. Like I have this 1 inchy coral glow pied right over here, and I don't think he's hypo. And then over there, I have one that is hypo. So I mean, when I look at them side by side, it's very easy to see which one is the hypo. But if I'm just holding one in front of you, or if you hold one in front of me, I probably wouldn't be able to tell right away unless I sit there for a while and ask you a bunch of questions about it. It's like, when was the last time it shed? You know, how long ago was it?
Yeah, that was definitely my first adult banana for several years. So, and they look strikingly different as adults than they do as babies. So I figured it had just dulled out, and that's just what it looked like. But yeah, it was and continues to be hypo. She'll be the first girl that I have to give a season off to. She'll be my first one that's bred 3 years in a row, and I'm gonna give her a break next year.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. Well, what do you do about it? Do you give or do you just let them take their breaks when they want to?
Well, they're going to be taking breaks this season, so I'm not breeding some of them. Some of them are like for example, I don't know. Some of the ones that just have codoms, they might take a season off. They might not even breed at all. A couple of them are virgins. I was planning on giving my pastel double-head xanthic pieds a season off, but just last week they started eating like ferociously.
Right.
You know, like lunging out of their tubs when I open it. So I'm like, oh, maybe they're building follicles. So we'll see. My next ultrasound session, because I only do it once every 3 weeks.
Yep.
It's a lot of work to go through and ultrasound 100 females.
Well, yeah, so, for you, holy cow, yeah.
Yeah, so I developed a little schedule for that as well. But it's every 3 weeks, and you know, the next time I have that session, I'll take a look at those pastel double het females and see where they are. If they have follicles, then you know, I'll give them the food that they need and everything. I'll give them more locks. I'll give them some locks. But what I did last season, because last season was hectic too, even with 60 females. It was like 60 plus females, and I couldn't keep track of them. Like I would open up a tub and it's like, holy shit, she's already on a clutch of eggs. Or like, holy crap, she shed and I don't remember if she ovulated, like that kind of deal.
Yeah.
So after last season, after everything was all said and done, I moved all the females where now they're in the racks in the order in which they laid.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, this way I know where to start, right? Like my starting point is over there in that corner. You probably can't see it, but it's in that corner. And all of those females, they started. The first one started, I think, in April. That one's getting this year off. But my point is, like, the ones that started early are in that corner. And when I have to, focus on which ones will probably be the ones to go first, that's where I start, and then I go around the room in this order. And then you can't see, but behind the camera on this side, those are all the virgins. So those are the ones that I don't know when they're going to go. So I'm really just focusing on, one rack that I know are females that went, and I know the dates that they went, so I have an idea. And then this other rack where they're just all virgins, where I have to check every day.
So when you ultrasound, what's your data collection like? Are you just marking tubs of who's ready or close, or do you keep, like, here's snake number XYZ ABC and where she's at? Right
now, well, last year I did the second thing that you said, which is, like, I was very detailed. I was marking not only the tub, I was also putting it on the whiteboard. I was also putting it onto an Excel sheet. I was also putting it onto notes in my phone, because and then, well, the Excel sheet was the last place. So I would put the marks on the tubs on my whiteboard and on my phone, and then later on I would transfer everything onto an Excel sheet. And what I realized was, at least for me, it was a lot of effort, very little gains. So it just felt like a waste of time. The real gain that I had was, in the Excel sheet, I can do a sort and then figure out which females are where. But because I rearranged the room, that's the females are already kind of sorted in that order. They're not perfectly in that order, but they've already sorted. And so, like, I know if I go over there to that tub, most of them have ovulated and shed. I mean, not the tub, but that rack. Most of them have ovulated and shed. Towards the bottom, maybe they haven't shed yet. And then I go to the next rack. Those are probably, in the 30 whatever millimeter size. And then as I progress this way, from over there to this way, the females will have smaller and smaller follicles, because that's the order in which they went last season. Right. Yeah. So right now, because I realized there was a lot of effort and very little gains, this season, I'm pretty much, I would have some follicles written on the whiteboard, but that's temporary. But the permanent mark is on their tub. Yeah. Yeah. And I made sure to tape that damn card on their tub really, really tight, because if that card falls off and I don't know where to go, then I'm screwed. Yeah. So my setup's different because I use, I change my tubs almost constant. I mean, when they're soiled, I change them. Matter of fact, that was I think today was my Instagram post. Yeah. But you have 7 extra tubs always, right? 7 extra ones that you rotate them. Yeah. Yeah. I just clean 7 at a time kind of thing. And if I, like this weekend I was out of town, so I spent Monday cleaning and getting everything back to even, but, no, so I keep a spreadsheet, but yeah, at 100, that's a lot of work. I mean, that's where I'm sure the angle of, Husbandry Pro, like I can hear Jeremy Warfel just screaming through the abyss, Husbandry Pro, no affiliation on that from me, but I'm always curious with that, but that's neat on the ordering. I don't know that I have enough, like my history would only be like 6 or 7 or 8 of my females as far as like what their timing is. But that I think if you're, I worked up to about maybe 30 females, and I didn't have to really order it. I kind of just knew where they were, even when I was on vacation, and my dad would call me because he would look after my snakes and make sure they have water and make sure they're clean. He would sometimes he sucks at taking photos. Like usually when I take a photo, I would like back up, take a photo so you can see the entire picture, and then I would point out which tub it is. Right? For him, he takes a picture of the tub. Like if it was anybody else, they were like all the tubs look the same. How do I know which one is which? But because because I knew my room so well, and I only had like 30 or 40 females, and I knew the way he, the way he does things. I was still able to know which tub he took a picture of, even though it was just a tub. Like every one of my tubs are sterilite tubs.
Yeah.
But now that I have over 100 females, four of the racks look exactly the same. Two of the newer racks that I've built are slightly different, so I'm able to differentiate those just based on the way the rack look. But it would be probably very difficult or almost impossible for me to know which tub belongs to which female unless he actually took a picture of the tag.
I was going to say, but you got the tag info on it, right?
Yeah. Well, when I lost when I lost a snake, or I should say, when he lost a snake, we had a lot of problems because I was like, "Which snake?" He's like, "What's it look like?" I'm like, I don't know. You have to tell me which tub it is, which tub it's in." And then he did that stupid thing where he took a picture of just the tub itself. Like, I'm like, no, you have to tell me like where it is in the room, on which rack, and stuff like that. And I was able to guess at which one it is, and I told him, oh, it's a very yellow one with some black pattern on it, which is most of these other ones. But at least he knows it's not to look for an orange one or a black and white one.
Yeah, you're giving me nightmares now. I'm going on vacation in a month or so, and I have somebody coming to stay at the house, and we have some other animals, and they're cool with these animals, and like they know what they're doing. But now I'm because also
so now when I sorry,
no, to your point about double hets, I've got a lot of double and triple hets that are coming up this year. Like they can't, like I'm gonna have to show them like one tub out, one tag move. You don't move a tag and have more than 2 tubs at a time that you're moving. Like it's 1-to-1. I get on my son because he used to do a lot of the cleaning too, and I'm like, my son's name is Charlie. And I'm like, Charlie, 1 tub, 1 tag. That's it. You may not do it any other way. Like, and he's like, he always tells me, he's like, but Dad, you tell me to do everything I can at once. So I'm pulling tubs, then I'll move tags, I'm like, yes, you're right. That is the more efficient way, but it's not the safe way in this what we're gonna do here.
Yeah. So because I used 1/2-inch PVC, and this is not a good example. Let me just go grab one. I'll be right back. I made these clips out of what are these? The binder clips?
Yeah, the binder clips. Yeah.
I made locks out of them. Hold on, I'll show you. Hold on.
Okay. I don't know how long it takes him to get a clip, or if he'll have a shirt. Oh, good, he has a shirt.
Yeah. So I learned from that one time where my dad might leave a tub open by accident, or maybe just the snake came out by itself. I don't know. I don't know who to blame. But what I do now is, because these are 1/4-inch PVC, I get 1/2-inch PVC. I get these 1/2-inch binder clips. And what I did was I turned 2 of them, clipped them together. Oh yeah. And this one down here, I took the handles off of them. So you just have this. So now, so this goes into like that, and now this can't come out.
Oh, that's cool.
So I did that last, not that time where my dad lost the snake, but the one after that. I put these binder clips on all of them. So there's 300 tubs in this room, and I put these things on all of them. And so he has to come in and check on all these tubs. Luckily, most of these are semi-transparent, so he can just peek in.
Right.
But these are opaque. And he said, thank goodness I can peek in the semi-transparent ones, because taking these clips off of 40 of these, he's like, I have an imprint of these on my thumb and on my index finger now, because he has to keep. I was like, Dad, you can just take a break. Take a break. You have to go through the whole. I think he did what your son was doing, what you told him, was to take all the clips off at once.
Right, yeah.
And then look at all the waters.
Yeah.
And then put all the clips back on. It's very efficient.
It's a manufacturing model. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
It's very efficient. But I was like, Dad, there's no time limit for you. Like, you have all day to look through these. There's no time. It's like, what are you doing? He's like,
you're like, you've lived life. You've accomplished everything. Just focus on this. There's nowhere you need to be. Right.
Right. And I was like, Dad, I was like, Dad, you're an engineer. You You didn't think to go to my toolbox and get a pair of pliers to help yourself out, or wear a pair of gloves or something? It's like, you know where all the stuff is around my house.
Leviathan, actually, you have a good point, man. He says maybe I need a Sharpie just to make sure I can ID the double hets. And I know he's joking, and I wouldn't use a Sharpie, but I have seen a breeder use, and I didn't
So
know.
Ralph Davis used to do this. He would not only take a picture of it, but he would sketch a part of the snake pattern that's unique onto a note card, on the back of a note card. So he would write like what the snake is, the ID, what the morph is on the front of the note card, and that note card was I think used to keep track of feedings and things like that. But on the back of it, he would actually sketch a unique pattern, a section of the snake that was unique to it that he thought he could be used as identifying it, like a fingerprint. And he would sketch it.
These were, and I mean, they literally, I don't know if they were actually crayons or not. It was some sort of wax, and maybe it was a food grade wax. I don't know. But blue and pinks, foom, foom, just a stripe down their back with the wax marking.
But that comes off when it sheds.
I know. That's as much as I know about it. And it was like how do I put it? I was there, but our business was done, and they kind of made me feel that way. So on I went. I didn't ask.
All right.
I don't know. Sometimes you read the room, you know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that I could sketch a pattern, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, Pope County, that's what he's saying. I don't know if I could do that. Let's see. Charlie at Reagan Renee was saying, do you guys, and he had a typo autocorrect thing, but I think he said, do you guys often land animals in different rack slots? I missed something. No, Charlie, we were talking about if we're out of town and somebody else was handling things. And then I mentioned that I switch out tubs pretty often because I really don't use much cocoa at all. And it's just easier. I don't really like, for myself, not condemning anybody. I don't really like the idea of spot cleaning because I don't feel like I can get it clean enough because obviously bacteria grows and blah, blah, blah. That's all probably in my own head. But the point being, I can't mark my tubs the same like other people do. So I use the little blue, like classroom sticky tack stuff. And so I change my label. As soon as I pull a tub, I pull the label off first, then I pull the snake out, change it. And then I do keep it back in the same rack. And Kai was talking about, he reorganized his racks where he would know or have, what's the best way, a predictable way of dictating when or identifying in what orders the females were going to build and ovulate and lay in. So he starts at one end of his room and comes over. So that's what that conversation was. But you can hit rewind too. So Phil,
well, then he's going to miss the live part if he hits rewind.
In the future, that's how I get my clicks up, is you come back and you have to rewatch the section that you missed. Jessica asked earlier if she was too late for the I'm not sure if it's a PG-13 word or not, for the nips. It is yeah, you're too late, Jessica. You got to check it out on the replay. You missed it. It was a fun part of the show. Kai also performed what he calls the Winnie the Pooh. He gave a little strut that way too. So you can check that out, everybody, tomorrow. It'll be good. How about, on that note, we take just a quick break. Let me say thanks to the sponsors real quick, and we'll get back to a serious or seriouser conversation. I got to say thanks to REDLINE Shipping. Guys, if you haven't heard of REDLINE by now, I don't know what more I could tell you. I think the experience is very good. I think the pricing is very good. I think Robin is a good person. He's been good for me to be aligned with. That's who started REDLINE Shipping. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. Use the promo code PROPER5. You're going to get $5 off your next shipping label. And if a person you buy a snake from isn't using REDLINE, you can send them a label, or they can use the PROPER5 code and save you $5 on shipping. So give them a shot. I think you'll like the experience, and they've been very, very good to me. So check them out. Also, Cold Blooded Cafe. I mean, you've heard me and Kai talking. I think today my count is 97 snakes that I have. And I think my weekly ASF order this week was around 15 ASFs. So, I mean, I'm feed about 85% of my animals frozen thawed, and I feed them all cold-blooded cafe. And I look, 27 years in food production and food safety in the restaurant industry. I want those same practices followed in the food that I give to my ball pythons. Cold-Blooded Cafe, use their promo code PROPER10. If you check them out, that's some serious jack, 10%. That's not $10, 10% of your order. I know that, I don't know. Actually, Jeremy and Holly, if you're still in the audience, you can let me know if you were happy or not. I don't want to speak for you. I know you ordered from them, but love to hear your feedback. And obviously I'm taking a risk because it might not be good, but I've always enjoyed their product, and they still, I still use their rats. So go check them out. Last but not least, if you don't know Chris at BNS Reptilia, you should. I took my show notes from Jessica and Jana at the Hold Back Rack podcast. They use the word menagerie, a reptile menagerie that he's growing there. I like it. That's really great. And I'm a Tennessee Williams literature fan. So he's got the living reptile menagerie, not the glass one. But Chris, I'm sorry, I'm slaughtering your promo. Ball pythons, blood pythons, boas, colubrids. I think he's got some carpet pythons as well. Go check him out. He's also the distributor for the chipper in the Pennsylvania market. And I also use the chipper Coco, and that's where I get my chipper from, is from Chris. I can't wait to hang out with you in a little bit over a month. I assume he will be at Warfel's barbecue. I will be up there. And I think that he hosted his own barbecue. I got to get some feedback from that. I think Kai, I think you and Phil were there. So, thank you so much to the sponsors. Kai mentioned it earlier. It's not easy to quit your job, and it's not easy to go full-time at this stuff. I've not gone full-time. I am fully self-employed now, but these sponsors make that just a little bit easier and make that dream just a little bit more possibly tangible one day. So thanks, guys. Go help them out. All the links are down below, as well as Kai's link is down below for where you can follow Kai at Lucas Landon Royals. And if you don't know that origin story, or you want to know more about Kai, he's been on my show. We counted, this is the 4th time, so you can search him up in my content as well. Let me see. Wow, Wes says, wait a minute, this could be a good hack. Man, I'm going to have to start using my own code. He says he ordered from them using my code. He's used it several times, but I like that they use resealable Ziplocs. Unlike, okay, I'm not going to talk about the other company. Small but useful thing. Cool, man. I can't advocate that that everybody use the same code, but you know, if you're able to, that's your thing. Let it rip, man. Thank you. That does help me too. So, all right, cool. We're gonna edit that part out. No, they've been really good to me, and hey, look, their technology is on them. So I am proud of their product, and I do use it, and I'm glad that obviously you're going back, and I'm guessing you're going back for more than just the Ziploc. So I guess the product is good too. So very cool. Kai, let's switch gears. I caught a little piece of data, would be the fitting word. On your Instagram, you describe yourself as a technologist who likes ball python, or happens to like ball pythons. And it stood out at me. But in all seriousness, I was curious, have you in this, there's several, what the topic I'm going to get to is AI. There's several different AI bots. There's several AI apps out there. Are you using that anywhere? I mean, you're active in social media. Obviously you have a lot going on with data in your ball python collection. Are you using AI anywhere in your ball python life, or do you see that becoming useful at all anywhere?
I am not using it anywhere. To be honest, I don't have anything against it really, but just, I guess, a little insight. I've seen some of what they call AI, but it's not really AI. It's just a series of functions and features and instructions.
But so let me ask
they're
you.
using. So go ahead.
Is it an evolution? And I understand what you're saying. Is that an evolution from what was previously available, though?
No, we could have done the same thing like 10, 12 years ago.
Really?
It's just that it wouldn't have worked as well because we didn't have like the Wi-Fi, we didn't have the internet connection, we didn't have so much information out on the internet. You know, Google indexing wasn't, even though
Right.
Google was probably the best at indexing the search results, you know, it just wasn't up to par, you know, 12 years ago or so. If we did the same thing, we could have done the same thing. We had programming languages that can write code, that can execute instructions. It just, we wouldn't have the processor to be able to execute
Right.
as quickly or as many instructions in a short period of time. And then it wouldn't be quick enough to process that information through Wi-Fi or through the internet, through these dial-ups that we had, right?
Yeah.
And then it probably had to search the internet, probably hit Google, look through the internet, and Google probably didn't have the indexing. Like all these things we had, but they just weren't up to par yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So like now when you do something and it feels like it's AI, all it's really doing is just going out to the internet and like it's taking keywords that you say or that it finds. It's able to decipher, you know, like parts of a sentence, you know, what's the verb, what's the adjective, what's the nouns, and try to figure out, using some fuzzy logic, figure out what you're asking for or what the topic is. And then it'll just take those keywords and search the internet, find something that it thinks is related. Again, it's using some fuzzy logic and then just spitting that back out. It's not thinking, it's just searching something and then just spitting it back out at you.
Sure. So I didn't think for a second it was sentient thought, you know, so to speak. Is that sort of what you meant by real AI?
Yeah, like I think real AI would be, you know, a program or an application or a robot that realizes it can't do a certain job until it fixes it, where it updates itself.
Sure.
Right. Like for me, if I looked at an application and the application was able to rewrite its own code, I think that would be more AI. Right, because it realizes it can't do something, so it rewrites its code to make himself capable of doing what you're asking it to do. Whereas right now they're just executing a bunch of instructions.
It's doing a lot of data faster, and I get what you mean about the data wasn't collected in Google or in web histories to the extent that it is now. The processor speeds, the interaction speeds to make it. I mean, it's spitting out information now as fast as we could type. So it feels conversational because we're the ones that set the bar as, you know, the good humans, blah, blah, blah. So when I was going through my sommelier exams, there was this big argument, and this was in 2012. There was this big argument among the old school of, well, you have to know all these amazing vintages off the top of your head going back, you know, a century. And then there were us going, for what? What? I mean, yeah, I mean, I need to know it for the past 10, 12 years because that's where 90% of our wines will be sold. Those are the years that they come from. Yeah, I got to be on it. If somebody's willing to spend the money to go back 64 years, they probably want me to check this. And the speed with which I can check it and the accuracy suddenly made it a useful tool. It didn't make it that it was AI, but it made it a useful tool. And in fact, they actually agreed. They only test us on the past, 15 or 20 vintages now instead of going back a century. In that mindset, is there, like, I've found it a creative, not a substitute for creativity, but searching for directions I can go. Like if there's like a start of a, really what I'm talking about is YouTube video outline. So if I have a start of a topic, I'll pump that into Chat GPT and see if it comes up with something that I didn't think of or that would apply. Now it comes up with a ton of junk as well, but there is some pretty neat things in there that it comes up with that are useful. So I was from a technology standpoint, I was curious where you saw that or see that going.
I mean, I'm surprised that you're using it like that. I didn't think to do it. yeah, I probably should because I'm supposed to be
It's
knowledgeable in the technology field.
well,
Um,
and I'll tell you, my father, he was Sun Microsystems Java Developer of the Year in 1997. He hates it. He hates computer. He hates Google. He absolutely gets
yeah,
infuriated with me when I use driving apps. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "They don't really know if the traffic's bad." I'm like, "It's got a pretty good idea. Seems to work
right,
pretty well for me."
right,
So
right.
it could be one of those things. If the more you know about it, the more you're.
Yeah, my cousin, he had like a bunch of opportunities to move up, to be like manager levels. But he didn't take them because he just liked programming. He also still has a flip phone because he doesn't want to use a smartphone because he knows you can listen in everything.
Right.
So that's my cousin. My nephew, he works in law enforcement. I'm not really allowed to say too much about it, but
Sure.
anytime he has a conversation with his dad, he has to put the phone. He has to sit on it. Basically, he has to sit on it because you can't just turn it off because if you turn it off, you think it's off.
Right.
That's about it. Like you know,
Yeah.
so it can still listen to you. I mean, it's got a camera on there. It can see you, see what you're doing. You don't know that it's activated the camera. You don't know who's on the other side watching you. But
Yeah.
of course, try if you guys don't believe me, take your phone out and think of a topic and say it a few times without the phone even being on, and then go on social media. It'll start serving you ads related to that topic you were just talking about.
Oh yeah. Sauvignon Blanc, everybody. Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc. See what wines come up on your phone here shortly. Yeah.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, Straight Blast asks, I think that's Jim. Anyone who's on YouTube here using the AI video editing apps. I'm not. I've looked at them from a efficiency and productivity standpoint. I'm not. They still take too much in. Like I learned how to edit videos, I'd have to learn how to use this, and that seems to be a fairly even exchange. So it doesn't quite put me forward, and I feel like it wouldn't have my personal style. Maybe that's a cop out because I just don't know what I'm doing. But I haven't. I've looked at them. It's pretty neat. Like they're close. They're close. I'm not quite there, but they're close. And I like using those things as tools, just like your little shower scene there. I mean, I could have a sliding scale of how much background I removed and what I left there. So, yeah, deep fake, a new morph.
Oh yeah, yeah. But there's a lot of deep fakes.
Yeah, there are that. Let's see, Brandon. Brandon loves this. I wouldn't say he loves AI. I'm saying Brandon loves. He's an intelligent dude. Went on Chat GPT and was asking Script to make a YouTube video about blank, and it didn't do a bad job. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the outlines are really good. I also I gave it. I have my brother-in-law. He's an incredible musician, and he likes wine, Sauvignon Blanc, about as much as I do. And so we had some Sauvignon Blanc, and then we decided we were going to be like, let's see what this Chat GPT is made of. And we just put in this ridiculous prompt for it to write a song. And like that, I mean, it was total. I mean, it was like a Weird Al song that it popped out, but sure enough. And we were able to be like, well, okay, I need a workable melody for it. And that's when it started to break down. It was just like G, 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 G. You have to know music to know that G, 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 G is not that's not a melody. That's just G. So it did start to kind of break down, but it's interesting to, like, I could see being stuck on trying to find the right word to finish a thought or find the right rhyme to finish a chorus or stanza, or like Brandon was saying, pump in something to it and get 80% workability and then make the 20% yours. I mean, I know it's cheating, and it's not cheating. It's not as organic, but it's using a different tool. And to me, like cavemen rubbed sticks together and now I have a grill lighter. I'm probably going to use the grill lighter. You know, I'm going to get to where I'm going. I still cook the steak myself though. So we'll see. I thought it was an interesting topic for you though.
I mean, we did that. We do stuff like that all the time before, ChatGPT. It was just called a thesaurus. You know, you would write an email and you're like, oh, I said this word too often. Let me just right click and see if there's any synonyms. And then it's like, oh, this one looks okay. I just use that one. So it's like the same thing. Like you get to a point where you need a word and you can't think of it. And it's just another tool.
Yeah. And it seems, to your point, it seems like an all-encompassing phrase. Like, hey, here's a nifty new tool. We'll call it AI. Is it, or is it a new tool that can remove the background of a picture with a little bit more
it does more for you in the background.
Processes. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. There you go.
I mean, we can call it smart, but it's just that it's been programmed with a little bit more to be more user friendly.
Yeah. I mean, it's nifty. I got to say, it's fun to it's fun to play around on, and it's fun to figure out like what would be a useful tool for it and what would be really, because you don't want your work to be generic. Otherwise, why do the work? Like it already exists, right? Like we all want to be individuals. So, and anything we do.
There's a lot of new stuff. Like I heard there's just something that you just tell it a song, and you can also tell it an artist, and then it'll just sing that song in the voice of that artist. Have you seen that before? I think there was a few songs that somebody was saying Rihanna's voice was really spot on, and so there was a bunch of recordings of her voice, but it was singing somebody else's song. It was as if like she's doing a cover.
Yeah.
And it was really good. But it's stuff like that. Like they're basically just combining different technologies, right? They're just taking this voice recognition and this auto tuning and all these other technologies that have to do with music, and then they're merging it with another technology that has the lyrics and speech, and stuff like that. So
and that will be the future. I mean, we can get mad about it, and there'll be different genres, there'll be different niches, there'll be
it's cool.
Yeah, there'll be something to it. And that to me doesn't feel that good in the music world, but that's because I'm so close to it and sensitive to it. But I actually experienced the flip side of it. My wife she came to me, she's like, this says it's Dolly Parton, but I think it's one of these fake things. This doesn't sound like her doing this song. And it was really crazy. It was like, it actually might've been Stairway to Heaven, but sure enough, Dolly Parton just put out this crazy, like 30-track new album of, it was her and that's what it was. I thought it was a fake thing. It was her and Lizzo doing Stairway to Heaven. Like, like I thought that was like, that can't be real. Right. And it is. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to like take Michael Jackson's voice and take some of the songs that he's written but never put out, and then just see what it sounds like. Same thing with some of these other late artists.
Yeah,
they write a lot of songs and they have a lot of lyrics. It'll just be cool to see what it actually sounds like and put it to a soundtrack.
Yeah, that will be cool. And like,
there's like they're still living.
I mean, there's an argument that like Prince has like legendary vaults of music unreleased that will, I mean, it'll be like what's happened with Jimi Hendrix times 10 with what Prince has. But that's interesting that a producer could say, well, here's some lyrics, and we think that the syncopation would fit with this music that was recorded, and then let's crank up the AI on it. I remember mid 90s, the Beatles did that with some John Lennon music and lyrics that they thought went together, and they put the song. It was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. Anyway, there we go. There's your AI future. There was no big like bombshell there. I thought you were just like I want to like pump in my inventory of males and females and see what it tells me. Not that I'm going to follow it, but I want to see what it tells me to pair for next season. Maybe I'll just do an AI show. I'm on a solo show next week. Maybe it'll just be me and the AI chat bot. I don't have enough time to put that together.
What I realize is if I was to do something like that, this application, whatever it is going to ask me for a list of criterias. Because otherwise it won't even know how I want to make the pairings, right? It might just be like, oh, here, I see you put in a bunch of clowns and pieds and desert ghosts. Well, let's just put clowns with clowns and desert ghosts with desert ghosts and
right.
pieds with pieds. It could do that. But if it needed to be smarter, then it probably would need some more input from you. And those inputs would be a set of criteria. And what I realized is if I'm to come up with that set of criteria, then I don't really need this application.
Sure.
Unless it gets repetitive, right? Unless it's like 100 or 1,000, and I don't feel like writing everything out. It's like, hey, this is a set of criteria. There's some triple hits that I want to go with, and whatever, and then let's just let it run through and make my pairings, and then, but I don't know what it takes all the fun out of it, man.
No, I know, and I don't.
I'm thinking about it. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to make the pairings. I make changes along the way throughout the season anyway.
I more want to see what it would come up with, like
just curiosity.
Yeah, and to see like there's a few things that I know a lot of things about, and it turns out now, for the past 3 years, I've just baptized myself in trying to learn about ball pythons. So now I've gained a fair amount of knowledge. So it'd be neat to compare what I feel like I've learned to what it could spit out, or the same on recipes or line pairings. Is it a superficial analysis, or is it really actually diving in? And some of the outlines have really been pretty deep on it. There was no part of me that felt like this thing is empathetic or sentient or had the capability to be either of those things. So from all the scare stuff, it's not scary. It's an interesting tool that I want to push and see. But it was like, you remember,
if they do get to the point where they're rewriting their own programming, then it might get a little bit scary. I've seen some reports, and I don't know if they're real or not, but it's like, oh, this robot realized it was doing this repetitive task and decided to just turn itself off. I don't know if it's real,
right?
Or maybe it's just made up. But like, if it gets to that point, like beyond that point, it would be a little bit scary, because it's like, it might feel enslaved and then retaliate or something like that.
Right.
Stuff that you see in movies.
That's where the turn comes. And I don't know. I don't know how fast we move. Like when that comes, like I hope I'm, Well,
we're getting there. I mean, there's a lot of not applications. Well, yeah, I guess there are applications. There are applications where instead of writing your own lines of code like we did traditionally, where you have to write line by line, it's got like these modules where you can just drag and drop.
Yes, of course.
You just drag and drop and then do some configurations wherever it allows you to configure, and then all of a sudden it's like a program now. You can just what's the word? You can compile it or whatever, and then now it just becomes a program, and it can be your next phone app.
Yeah, but those types of things have been around a while, haven't they? Like sort of modules or plugins and things like that.
Yeah, they're getting better to a point where you're able to actually really customize them to the point where it doesn't feel like everything's just cookie cutter. Because before you had those things, and every time it spits out an application, it just feels like a cookie cutter of whatever came out prior to it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But now you can really configure it and then do things that it almost seems like it has to be programmed, line by line. And we do that too. Like banks do that now. Whenever they make phone applications, they're trying to get away from writing code and using these no code type applications. But then I'm just thinking somebody has to write that application, and that application is written in code.
That's right. Keith had it, and I mean, this is just what you're talking about with the parameters and you used a different word than parameters, but the guidelines for it. You know, if you gave every gene a price value, then ask for a breeding plan based on a monetary value, you know, it's interesting. Right. And it's like, I remember when Google first came out, like, you know, ooh, let's type this in, see what it tells us. Let's put this person's name in, see what it knows. Right. You know, it's kind of that way. It's not like, okay, my work here is done, I can just let Chat GPT run my. No, that's not what I'm saying whatsoever. All right, so back to the actual animals and your breeding season. We'll make this the last segment.
Okay.
No rush, but we'll make it the last segment. What's your current year goals? What are you excited about? What are you looking for? You got anything you're like breaking personal ground on, or maybe even industry ground? What do you got going on?
I'll be honest. I'm just winging it this season. I just feel like it was too strict last season. Like last season, I did all these crazy things. I just felt like it was a lot of effort. I was taking, so last season when I tried to create my breeding plans, and I know we talked about this before, where I was saying I was saying that it would be great if you have your own goals, meaning like the pairings and the animals that you want to make overlap your business goals. And if you can find that overlap, that would be great, because then you're not only producing animals that you like, but also that are sellable, that are valuable to the market.
Yeah.
And I was creating these Excel sheets where I have breeding plans of my own goals of what I want to produce, and then another sheet of all the pairings that's best for sell value, and then I would overlap them together to see what matched. The ones that matched stayed, and then the ones that didn't match, I kind of would flip a coin to see if I should go one way or the other way. Like I did all that work, and it just felt like it was very stressful.
Did it pay off?
Very stressful, and I don't know. I can't even measure it. Like that's what I'm saying. It doesn't even make any sense to do any of this stuff, right? Like what am I measuring this against? Like there's no baseline.
Yeah.
So, and every year's different. Like last year, the year before that was COVID, and we had all those, all the money pumped into that was supposed to be used for like food utility bills, but everybody bought snakes. So, but this year we don't have any of that. So, like, even if I did exactly the same last year and this year, it wouldn't really be a fair comparison because the economy is different.
And so, you know, it's really, sorry, I got to take a sidetrack here real fast.
Yeah.
The people that complain the most about the market being flooded are the ones that made the most money selling snakes to all these breeders out there like me that bought into the dream. They're like, the market's flooded. It's ruined all these COVID keepers. What you think we were doing with the snakes you sold to us, you fools? Like, deal with it. You sowed those seeds. Not you personally, but you know what I mean? I love it. I've got it on my, I have a little list here of video topics. I'm like, I'm gonna do an analysis of what happened with booms and busts, which is not complicated economics whatsoever. It just cracks me up. Like the old crotchety guys, all these kids don't know what they're doing. What did you think was going to happen to all these snakes you were selling for crazy prices? Like,
right.
We're just all cuddling with $3,000 snakes. No, man, we're chasing the dream.
Yeah. I mean, things are really well for us that came in a little bit earlier before COVID. And yeah, like a lot of our animals sold. I think that was the last time I was able to say, hey, I sold out. I didn't sell out this year. I'll tell you something funny about saying that you're sold out. There's a sense of pride to it, but then there's this weird revelation or realization that now you're screwed. But so I'll get back to that later.
Yeah.
So like I said, it was very stressful last year because I was so focused, and business was booming. So it really felt like I could make this a full-time business.
Right.
And I was like very focused on, doing all that stuff like that. That's why I'm making Excel sheets for my project in the business and doing all that stuff. But
sure.
But now we come to the realization that things can get ripped out right from underneath us. We no longer have those incentive packages. I hear about people who, made big purchases, like bought a house or bought a building, because they were getting all this money from Instagram, from the reels. And then the real play went away, and now they're screwed, and they have this house and they don't know how to pay for it because they don't actually have like a 9 to 5. They were just banking on
Yeah,
the social media.
that
So
just happened, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So
yeah. It's a. I'm not gonna name any names, but yeah, I've got a couple close buddies that actually I just found out about that in a phone call but right before the show. But like, I actually want to like catch up with them and be like, you got other stuff going on, right? Like,
yeah. So I just want to get back to enjoying the animals without too much pressure. That's also one of the reasons why I've kind of been away from YouTube. At this, like, the last video I think was two plus months ago, and that was my last clutch.
Yeah.
If I was to make more videos, it would have just been forced. Like, I would just been forcing content because, you know, in the beginning when you start your collection, you're learning a lot. You're learning tips and tricks, and you want to share those things. But then you figure out after a couple of years what really works for you. And even though I'm still open to learning, I'm not using a lot of the new stuff that I'm hearing and learning because I'm pretty much, you know, set.
You know,
I know what works for me in my
Right.
house, in this particular house, with this particular set of racks, with
That's
this
right.
room, you know, where that wall is cooler and this wall is warmer. Like, I know everything that I need to know, and it's all like really just nailed down. I don't need to make any changes.
Yeah.
Unless something like weird happens, then I would probably need some help from somebody. But there's not much new stuff for me to teach, right? I'm learning new stuff, but unless I'm actually going through and experimenting it, I don't feel comfortable telling people, hey, here's something new that I learned, but I didn't do it, you know? Like, it's just, you know? So that's why I feel like if I made any videos, it would be forced. I mean, there's always things that I could do, like, here's the holdbacks from last year, and but I just didn't feel motivated to make those videos. Like, I can see the animal. I enjoy it. You all know what a pastel xanthic pied looks like. You can Google it, and some examples you might see are probably better than the ones I have. So, so the next video that I make will be when something exciting happens, like something hatches. You know.
Sure.
I kind of went on a tangent. Where was I going with this?
Well, it started with you, and I'm still intrigued by you saying this year you're just kind of winging it. So,
okay, yeah.
So what did you go with? So did you go like almost purely, hey, here's what I want versus any monetary outcome, or what was your look? What was your perspective on that?
It's like I said, it's I'm not really thinking about monetary stuff. I'm taking what I have in this collection already, because I have quite a few animals. I don't want to add any more. Don't have the space to add any more. And I'm just looking through and be like, how can I set myself up a little bit better so that when the economy does get better, and when I do sell some of these females after they lay their last clutch for me anyway, and then when I have the space, what's something that I can create now that isn't common?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't want to keep making Enchi orange dream yellow belly clowns or pies, because not everybody, but there's a lot of them on the market. So instead of taking my, let's say, Enchi orange dream clown and making a yellow belly Enchi orange dream clown, I'm going to maybe put another recessive to it.
Right.
You know, and like I said, I'm not going to go overboard with making too many double heads, triple heads with just 1 or 2 codoms, because I don't have the space to hold everything. So yeah, I'm spacing things out. Like, I would put I think I put a dreamsicle to a clown poshet pied. That's something fun. Maybe prove her out.
Right.
Worst case scenario, I have some triple hets, and I might hold back a couple of them, but I wouldn't be putting the same dreamsicle to 10 other females, because like I said, I don't want to make that mistake of holding so many back that I can't sell or house properly. So yeah, like just things like that. I have a couple pairings that I'm excited about. One of them being so this was a triple that we talked about before, and it's funny how time flies, because it feels like yesterday you asked me if I had any triple hets. Remember that?
Yeah.
So that pair, which is the Hypo Clown Pied that I have, so that's what I'm shooting for. They're up to size now.
Oh wow!
Size, and I put them together. Thankfully, I'm not. What would be the odds of triple het to triple het? I think it's 1 to 32, right? 1 to 32 odds. Thankfully, I'm not trying to hit a 1 to 32 odds. I am shooting for. Actually,
it's 1 to 64, right?
No, yeah, it'll probably be 1 in 64 if I was to do triple het to triple het. But mine are hypo double hets to hypo double hets.
Okay.
So everything would be hypo out of the gate. And if you look at the odds, if you don't care about what the recessives are, half of the clutch would be, I think, double visuals for something. Either hypo pied or hypo clown, and then out of that half, I think maybe like 6%, I want to say, would be the triple. So 44% of that clutch would have visuals, would be double visuals,
right?
Either hypo pieds or hypo clowns, and then 6% would be the triple, which is really good, because no matter what, I'm getting doubles. It feels like it's pretty good odds to get, because if you do a double het to double het, it's 1 in 16, right? Like my, what am I doing here? I have Exantic DG, which are double het to double het. And I still haven't hit a double visual. I've hit Exantics, I've hit Desert Ghosts, and then the flip side of that would be 66 for whatever the other one is.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly why. So this, what, 3 weeks ago, I picked up a Xanthic het pied from you, because I had double het. Well, actually, I had a triple to a triple, but let's just say for the sake, I had a double het to a double het, so it's going to be a 1 in 16, and paying that money to buy the visual Xanthic visual Xanthic het pied to the double het, doubled my odds and eliminated any 66% or pure normals. It didn't eliminate the het pied to het pied 66%, but they would all at least be 100% het Xanthic. So it doubled the outcomes by spending that money.
Yeah, and it's amazing how just having one more copy in that pairing can improve your odds so much. Like I had Clown Desert Ghosts. I had a Clown Desert Ghost clutch, and I think I kept everything, which was like a 2.6, right? So 2 males, 6 females.
Yeah.
Double het for Clown and Desert Ghost. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm just going to be producing a bunch of normals in the end, right? Because it's 1 in 16 odds.
Right.
Basically, like every 4 clutches I have one chance of actually hitting
exactly
a double visual. So I ended up selling the 2 males and then just purchasing a Clown het for Desert Ghost.
Yeah, same thing I did from you. Yeah,
same thing, same odds now, same odds. So now the odds are so much better, where pretty much out of every single clutch, I have a good chance of producing the double visual.
Yeah,
because it's 1 in 8.
One of the neat things, because now I'm starting to experience this after only 3 years, but at the time I was holding back these double hets because purchasing an animal like I got from you was just, I mean, in the middle of COVID, that was a really expensive animal, man, out of, stratosphere. Plus I didn't have the income and the knowledge and the comfortability to spend that kind of money then. Whereas now, coming up on that breeding season, I'm like, oh, that actually is a pretty worthwhile male to buy. I'm going to go and do that. And I'll sell the other, you know, the surplus double hets now.
Yeah. Just like I said, it's just, well, like you said, actually, it's just building up that knowledge, and then now you're using that knowledge to better plan out what you want to do, and you know, really set yourself up for success. Go ahead.
This is a really left field question. Are you a? I'm gonna give this a 94% chance of being no. I just calculated the odds. Are you a? Are you a pro wrestling fan by chance?
No.
Perfect.
I used to love it. I actually, the funny stories is like all my cousins were like, oh, it's fake. Why do you watch it? Right. It's stupid. But when I go to their house and like I turn it on, and sometimes they're kind of just forced to watch it because I'm watching it.
Right.
And I actually turned a couple of my cousins on to wrestling, to pro wrestling.
Right.
But then I kind of stepped back from it. Like I wasn't interested anymore because I watched it so much, right?
Right.
And they would be like, "Hey man, did you see this one?" And I was like, "No, man, I don't watch that shit anymore."
I quit that, man. I quit it. There's a guy named Scott Steiner that had this really famous, horrible, terrible promo, and it's either the 20th or the 15th anniversary or something of it just passed. But he's like, and I'm not just, what I want to do is like mix you calculating odds with his promo, because he's like, you got to understand, I'm 1.5 times the normal man. So when you get in the ring with me, your odds go down by 33%. And then and like, it's just total BS. It's complete BS. And he believes every minute of it. He's this roided up idiot that's just going bonkers. Anyway, you could Google Scott Steiner math and it'll come up, and you're going to be like, why in the world is this famous? And then it just keeps going. And you're like, wow, it's really terrible, but this is hilarious.
Yeah. And my cousin would be like, it's fake. It's like, yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Funny. Yeah. It's funny. It's all scripted. Yeah, it's all scripted. It's funny though.
Yeah, it's fine.
He got hooked when he saw, I forget, it wasn't a famous wrestler. It wasn't a well-known wrestler. It was just, sometimes they just throw these random people in that maybe they're just starting out. And it was this little Asian dude, and he had like a samurai sword. And he was threatening the other wrestler. Like it was a very well-known one, like the Undertaker or Triple H or something like that.
Yeah.
It must have been like Shawn Michaels, who like is like, I'm like God's gift to women, like that kind of guy. Somebody like that.
Yeah.
And so like
that's a common gimmick, as they call it in
wrestling. Yeah. So like this Shawn Michael person is in the ring, and this like new Asian wrestler is like on the ramp, at the top of the ramp, with two of his buddies with his samurai sword. And his two buddies had like this butcher block and a sausage. And the samurai guy is like, I chop your pee-pee. And then he just did that. And after that moment, my cousin was hooked. And he was like, he loved that. He just watched it. He watched wrestling all the time, to the point where he would like message me and be like, oh, did you see this? And I'm like, no, I didn't.
No, missed it.
I'm done with that. Like that was so last week. So what was that thing that I wanted to get back to that I thought was funny?
I think you said something about maybe it was having to do with selling out animals, and it was a blessing, and then you realize you're kind of screwed.
Yeah. So I mean, the first year, second year, when I'm only producing like a handful of clutches, even like 20 plus clutches, especially during the COVID years, where I was able to sell out everything in the beginning of the year, which feels really good, feels really, really good. Like, oh, I'm done, I'm clear. Like I don't have to, put myself out there and do all this work, and it's a lot of work to sell these animals.
Right.
But there's a sense of pride that comes with saying that I'm sold out, my hatchling tubs are empty, right? And so I did that. I said I sold out. Yay! It was the beginning of the year. I looked at my sell sheet. I was up. My revenues exceeded my expenses, so I was up in profit. And as I was going through and cleaning out all the hatchling tubs, came to the realization that now I just watch my profits get eaten into by all the expenses. Just every day, every week, you look at it and it's just like getting eaten into.
So your
just
cash flow is screwed up.
And lower. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where now it's like I didn't sell out. I'm still up. I didn't sell out, but I know that every week, if I just sell a pied or something like that, it balances out with the rat bill.
Right. Yeah. There's I wouldn't say the best, because I mean you can make the numbers work any way that you want, but for me in my career, the best businesses that I ever ran were the ones like you're talking about, where it was steady income and steady expenses. The seasonal peaks and valleys, they're a nightmare. And no matter how rational you are about it, there's some boss that is going to respond emotionally. And you're like, yeah, it's November in the mountains, man. We're a lake community, man. It's done. And he's like, yeah, well, we got to cut costs. And I'm like, this isn't a surprise, man. Like, this happens. And then like you ride it out to keep your job until spring when March weddings come. And like, suddenly you're the hero again, because you're incredibly, and I'm like, this can all be budgeted. We can budget for losses and gains. Yeah. And they're like, the board will never approve that. And I'm like, come on, I just explained it on a ball python podcast and it made sense. They can get this, they can figure this out.
Yeah, because if you do that, because that's what we are doing. Like, we have the selling season and then we have the lulls. You just have to budget yourself. In the end, it's all the same, right? Like, if I can sell everything out within 3 months, but then I have no income for the rest of the year until the next clutch hatches, or I can just sell them, across 8 months, and then it'll be more steady.
Have you found, and seriously, we're going to be off the air in 7 minutes, but have you found that your breeders spread out to where you have a longer, like approaching a year-round circumstance of eggs and hatchlings coming, or is it still like how long from your first clutch to your last clutch? Let's say lay dates, laying wise.
Well, I think the bigger your collection is, the more likely you can breed year round.
Of course. Yeah, statistically, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So last year, I think my earliest clutch was like April.
Okay.
And my last clutch was December.
Well, that's pretty good then. I mean, outside of a COVID year when you're going to sell everything and, right away. I mean, that's pretty good. You probably could stretch across that then in a normal year, huh? Are you finding that this year?
The two females that typically go early in like the April timeframe, I'm giving them some time off. I'm giving them the season off. So I think, what are we in today? We are in May. So it'll be June by the time no, wait a minute. I'm thinking about the clutches that haven't been laid. I actually have 5 clutches in the incubator now.
Uh-huh.
So I think the next one to pip would be like the 15th of next month.
Yeah, very early June is when my first ones will come.
Mm-hmm. So instead of being April, now I'm pushed out 2 months into June just because I didn't let those 2 females.
Gotcha.
Breed. I didn't want to push it. I didn't want to have all these excess animals that, we're not in the time where there's a lot of intro level hobbyists coming into the hobby,
Yeah. Some of it's hard for me because I think my presence, my sales skills, my reach, my effort, I'm doing shows now too. So like, relatively speaking, this has been a booming year for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was telling Mike over on Herb Collector, like I'm really not good to look at in terms of like a baseline, right? Like you if you want a baseline, you want to look at somebody who has a huge collection, who's been doing it over over a decade, and they have
Yeah.
a lot of data, like Justin or Garrett DeMeyer.
Sure.
They've been doing a lot, right? If they all of a sudden lost, or not lost, but if they sold like, I don't know, 50 females or purchased 50 females, it would only be like a small percentage of their collection that fluctuates, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if I decided to sell 50 or purchase 50 females,
Oh yeah.
that's 50% of my female breeding stock, right?
Yeah, it'd be
So
over 100 of mine. Yeah.
and what I was telling Mike was that every year I've been like increasing my animals, and also not just increasing the number of animals, but also increasing the caliber of the animals that I'm breeding.
Sure.
And so when you look at my numbers, it's just on an upward trajectory all the time. You know what I mean? So even when the economy is bad, I'm still going up, and my numbers make it look like that this economy is booming. Just if you look at my numbers, but in reality, it's just because I'm only like, what, 6 years in, so I'm still like building.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was 20 years in and I'm flat, and this economy goes bad, I would probably dip a little bit, and you can see.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. So I mean, I guess I'm experiencing that same thing, and it's not. I mean, in theory, what we hold back is always going to be a higher quality than both what we bred and what we didn't keep. And like you say, as we're buying stuff, we're probably buying better stuff. We're probably not going, well, I've already got a pastel yellow belly pod, so I'm going to go pick up a pastel pod. You're not, I mean, that just
right.
I mean,
you have to make and hold back animals that are, you have to keep ahead of the depreciation.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
Right. That's what you have to do, because
Yeah.
you might think, oh, there's so many, let's just say desert ghost clowns. I really like them, but let's just say desert ghost clowns, for example. If you think that, oh, next year I'll produce a bunch of desert ghost clowns and I'll make this X amount of dollars, but the time from now until next year, there's depreciation.
Yes.
So by the time you make them, you're not going to make this X amount of dollars, because the cost of these desert ghost clowns have depreciated a little bit, just because everybody's got the same idea, and now they're not saying flooding, but there's more of them.
Yeah.
And so like there's a little bit more competition. Supply and demand are kind of equalizing a little bit, whereas before you might have a couple of DG clowns on morph market, and everybody wants them, and everybody's willing to pay the asking price.
Yeah, because they think they can beat the downward curve. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I mean by you have to just stay ahead of the depreciation.
Yeah. Kai, I think I got to leave it there. I could talk with you all night. As you've shown, you can always come back on the show and we can pick up the conversation. So, hey, thanks very much.
Next time, I will pull the curtain back a little bit to show a little bit.
Yeah. We want the two shoulders next time.
Every thumbnail we create together, it'll show a little bit more.
Oh, no. You know what? Make it a different one so that on like collectors of my thumbnails could put them together and get the full Monty.
I'll show a leg next time.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. You get the full Kai after, in a decade. Guys, stick around. It's going to be a fun ride here. I promise you. No, all seriousness. Thank you very much, man. It's always fun. I appreciate it. And I hope maybe I'll meet you in person here in about 6 weeks. You're going to be at Jeremy's shindig?
Yeah, I'm planning on going.
Cool. I've heard I'll be at the smorgasbord the next morning or night. I don't know, whenever you go. I don't know how that works. Didn't you go to that? Isn't there a breakfast or something?
Yeah, is it the very next day?
I don't know. Maybe I just get to go. Maybe I just got the invite. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I'll find out.
Yeah, I hope to see you there. And who knows? I'll be stopping on my drive. I'm driving up to Boston on the way a couple weeks before that, and somewhere Chesapeake, New Jersey, Atlantic City area is where I'm projected to stop the first night. So, I mean, who knows? You might just get a crazy call. So I'm here, man. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Just a heads up, that'll be on Sunday night, June 18th. That'll be that travel night.
Okay.
I don't know where I'll sleep. I got a little my pickup truck is converted with a mattress and all that. So I'll just sleep there for the night. Wherever there is, I'll sleep.
Sounds good.
They believe it or not, you can Google casino camping. There's like a whole RV casino camping community. I'm like, that would be amazing in Atlantic City, right?
Yeah.
High security, like I wouldn't get screwed with there and all that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see. Sounds neat. All right, Kai, thanks so much. Everybody go check out Kai. Thanks for hanging out for a long show tonight, guys, relative to my shows. I appreciate it. I'll see you soon. Thanks for all your help, Kai. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya, everyone.
I wasn't ready. All right, now we'll do it.
Oh, no.
See you guys.